Cabinet. My first one is leader, so you'll have to bear with me as we go through this. I just want to welcome everybody and let you know that the meeting is being live streamed and recorded for publication. Minutes of the last meeting, can we accept those as a true record? Thank you. There has been some changes to Cabinet, which I just referenced earlier. So I'm the new leader and I'm now the chairman of the Cabinet meetings, and I have recently appointed Councillor Ben Bradley, who used to sit here, to sit in my old seat as Education and Send, and I think the music is now stopped on musical chairs, so that's all the changes there are. Can we note those, please? Yeah. Apologies for absence.
No apologies, Leader. All present, but I can't give any assurances to how correct they'll be.
Thank you very much. Declarations of interest. Do any officers or members have any declarations of interest on the agenda today? No. Marvellous. I'm now going to hand over to Councillor Colton then about Inspire contract, please.
Yeah, thank you, Leader, and good morning, everyone. The purpose of this report is to seek approval for the Council to direct award a short-term 2-year contract to Culture, Learning and Libraries Midlands, trading as what we better know as Inspire, on the same terms as their current contract. The proposed new contract will commence on the 1st of April 2026 and end on the 31st of March 2028. For those that have dived through the report, it provides the background information on Inspire, who have been contracted since April 2016 to deliver the Council's statutory public library service, its archive function and a range of cultural and learning activities across the county. For context, Leader, the paper provides an overview of Inspire's funding models at paragraphs 17 to 25 and contract performance in paragraphs 26 to 36. As I've already referenced, the last 5-year extension was granted in 2021, and as already said, that runs out in 2026. As the report also speaks to, it recognises strong successes of the Inspire arrangements, as the report details. Within the pre-existing contract mechanisms, there is no further mechanism to extend beyond 2026. Hence, my recommendation to Cabinet this morning to direct awards the 2-year extension. There is a rationale behind that because of a number of current and imminent contextual challenges. Reprocuring the library service and cultural and learning services delivered by Inspire at this point in time would be difficult. One example, as the report pulls out, would be the devolved funding of skills funding down to MCA, and the rationale really behind this is to take our time to let the marketplace settle down and give the Council a strong platform to reprocure a new service for beyond 2028. For full details are set out at paragraphs 38 to 51 of the report. At that point, Leader, I am going to pause and, actually before I do, there's one last piece I would like to say is thank you to members of the Overview Committee for the 21st of November this year. That the committee reviewed the proposal supported by a summary of Inspire's contract performance since 2016, where we also delivered a rationale for the proposal. I'm pleased to say that members unanimously supported what I'm about to recommend to Cabinet. So on that point, I formally remove the recommendations which are set out on page 10.
Thank you, Scott, for introducing that report. As you say, Inspire do a great job with our libraries and archives and every other service they offer. So it's the right thing to do whilst the market settles, as you say. So thank you for that. Any comments from anybody in the room? Councillor Bonfather?
Yeah, just very briefly, Leader, I'll obviously wholeheartedly support the recommendations in the paper, understand the rationale as to why it can only be for a 2-year extension, and just publicly acknowledge the fantastic work that Inspire do on behalf of this authority and the residents of Nottinghamshire. They do an excellent job. They have done. It was the right thing to set Inspire up as it was. It was something which was recognised by this administration and by previous administrations, including Labour colleagues. They continue to deliver everything that we have asked of them, and I think from the top down, from the Chief Executive Peter Gore to every member of staff that I come into contact with. They deliver an excellent service. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barnfather. Absolutely echo your comments there. That's absolutely correct. Any further comments before we move to the vote? No. Recommendations are on page 16 then. We'll vote on both of them. Can I have all those in favour? Thank you. That's carried unanimously. Thank you, Scott, for that. We now move to item 6, which is building an office rationalisation programme. Councillor Gurney.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. This report provides an update on the significant progress with the building and office rationalisation programme, highlighting the cost savings and working benefits to the council. Progress across the estate has included Meadow House, Mansfield, completion of refurbishment works including redecoration, replacement flooring and refreshed furniture equipment. Workshop contact centre, commencement of works to deliver a new building providing a dedicated space to the children and families contact services alongside family conferencing facilities and touchdown space for other services in the locality. Retford Post 16 Centre, the relocation of staff from the Chancery Lane office was delayed to support short-term usage by Thrumpton Primary School whilst its main school was repaired after being flooded. It is planned that the relocation will now take place in early 2025 with improvements works underway. There has also been significant work undertaken across another 5 priority locations, and the report seeks to endorse the next steps. Following the extensive public and developer engagement in 2024, further work is required to complete the outline appraisal to ensure members are positioned well to make an informed decision on the options for the future use of County Hall site. Cabinet is therefore asked to support allocation of £100,000 to commission further commercial advice and support to finalise the appraisal for further consideration by members. Demolition of the class building, Riverside building and data centre on the County Hall site. In all current scenarios for the future use of the County Hall site, retention of the class block is inappropriate. Officers have therefore considered the risk and the options associated with managing the class buildings and concluded there are many benefits to demolishing them that will deliver council efficiencies and mitigate against risks. The benefits include things like reducing the public health and safety risks and costs associated with managing the asbestos-containing class buildings. Disturbance of asbestos-containing materials presents significant risk to public health and the local environment. Reducing wider health and safety risks and costs associated with building degradation and collapse, fire, trespass and vandalism. Reducing security costs, bringing forward an annual revenue saving of £100,000 and mitigating liability for vacant rates. Increasing land value and de-risking the creating options for the future use of the site. Improvements of Trempridge House in line with the building and office rationalisation programme objectives. The council will make more use of the Trempridge House going forward, and has also a number of partners leasing space in the building. As such, a programme of improvements works has been prepared to deliver necessary changes to the building to support its wider use and access. Completion of Oak House. Approval for the construction of the council's new Oak House offices was given in full council in July 2023, with the latest estimated cost position at that time of £18.4 million. It should be noted that the original contracted cost estimates were in excess of £20 million, and significant value engineering negotiated enabled this figure to be reduced. The winter of 23-24 was particularly challenging from a weather perspective, with 10 named storms and heavy rainfall. This meant construction activity was significantly impacted. The storms and subsequent site flooding required significant remediation to the foundation engineering to ensure stability of the wider build. In consequence, the latest estimated final cost of Oak House highlights an additional £1.4 million requirement. These reflect inflationary pressures and the adverse weather events set out above, as well as a range of other factors common in large construction projects. I think that's really important to note. It's a large construction project, and there's a tolerance normally built in of about 10%. We're nowhere near that 10%. It should be noted that the capital receipts due to the Topwig East site that the County Council has negotiated as part of the wider development are approximately £14 million, given a net benefit position for the County Council of circa £20 million after the construction of Oak House. You tell me you wouldn't want that £20 million. Leader, I know I have said this on many occasions, but it would appear that for some councils it's not sunk in. Oak House was going to be built anyway, and the original estimated costs were for that build, not what we will be now having. The additional costs have been well publicised both in Cabinet and full council, and it is disingenuous to suggest otherwise. Has there been additional costs? Yes, for the reasons explained. It is still good value for money. Is it still good value for money? Yes, absolutely. And to suggest otherwise would be wrong. Mansfield Connect. The total cost of the project is currently estimated by the District Council to be £32.9 million, and via negotiation, the County Council contribution is proposed to be a maximum of £3.5 million, which will enable a long-term lease. Entering into that lease will offer the opportunity for the County Council to transfer its existing services within Meadow House to the Mansfield Connect project in late 2027, which represents an opportunity to bring key services together, facilitating service delivery, transformation and the significant efficiencies gained across partner services. A detailed final business case will be presented to the Capital Asset Management Group for approval, following the final tendered cost being received by MDC, at which point the £3.5 million allocation will be confirmed in the capital programme. To summarise, the total allocation required to deliver the package of works across County Hall, Trentbridge House, Oak House and the capital contribution to MDC for the occupation of space within the Mansfield Connect project is £7.4 million. These positive next steps in the building and office rationalisation programme will mean ongoing benefits for staff, residents and the service we deliver. I formally move the recommendation, which is on page 39.
Thank you, Councillor Girling, for that detailed introduction to the report. The programme so far has improved lots of buildings across the county for our staff and residents, but also significantly reduced the number of them, which then means we can invest savings elsewhere into improved services. And like you say, the top Wigay Oak House is a clear example of us moving services closer to where the people need them and can be welcomed. And the recommendations in this report continue on that programme, which is good for our staff and residents. Any other speakers? Councillor Bradley and Councillor Taylor after.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I just wanted to highlight, I think we talk a lot about this building, about Oak House, and as you just said, the business case around that is impossible to argue with in terms of the finances of all that. But actually, this is a programme that has sought for a long time, back to Councillor Cutz's leadership, in that to find a position where we can deliver the right services in the right places for our communities, and actually the opportunities of all that to bring services out of incredibly expensive rental properties in Ashfield, for example, and into Oak House. Or I particularly wanted to highlight the Mansfield example, where we're going to move into a more modern, fit-for-purpose building out of another old and inadequate one. Really put staff in a better environment, vulnerable children in a better environment, and ultimately end up with the opportunity to relieve ourselves of another asset and a financial case for the council as well. So it's a really positive programme, and I think other places outside certainly have come to me in the past and looked at us as an example of somebody who's done a really good job on this programme of work, to go from 17 offices down to 9, all the cost efficiencies of that, but actually to end up with a better set of service delivery buildings and a better estate as a result. So laudable aims, I think, and certainly, although we talk about this building and Oak House a lot, there are other examples that highlight that Mansfield Connect one. Now that we're finally positively in a place to progress with it, as another example of just a really good bit of work in this wider rationalisation programme.
Thank you for that, Councillor Bradley. I think you're spot on. We're reducing the buildings, but we're improving services and putting them where the people need them, and I think that's laudable aims to do. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Leader. Really, just to echo with a parochial departmental hat on, the thanks and the sentiments that have been expressed about having services delivered where they're needed and in fit for purpose buildings. So I'm looking particularly at paragraph 8 of the report and looking at Meadow House in Mansfield, the Worksop Contact Centre and the Retford Post 16 Centre. You know, they're all projects that have been rumbling along for a number of years, and I'm just really grateful that we're finally crystallising all of those plans and developments. Things like the contact centre, you know, families of children in care have been having their contact in a couple of old bungalows or a couple of old houses. It's not conducive to trying to rebuild family relationships for children in care. We'll have facilities now both for the staff and where families can have that experience in a pleasant and welcoming environment. And you know, that's really critical for me. So as I say, a good few years in the planning and the coming, and I'm really grateful that you've pulled it all together. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Wheeler?
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I think for a couple of bits. First of all, the survey about residents for future county halls. Westminster members have really welcomed the amount of people who obviously responded to consultation, both residents and members of staff who obviously work around here. And I think looking at the responses shows that what we're doing is the right thing in terms of, you know, it's always when we make decisions, you wonder if it's what people want, and actually looking at the high percentage of people who are agreeing to the action we're taking shows that we are doing what is right for the West Bridgeford area and the wider county area. So we welcome that. And I think, touching on points colleagues have made already, the fact that we are spending money on rent when we can actually have our own buildings, that we are not paying that expensive money onto rent, and actually to put more money into frontline services, such in my ward out social care, into children's, into fair improvements to roads, is what our residents want. So to be absolutely doing that and to make sure we're putting money where we need it is something we should all welcome. So really welcome the report.
Super, thank you. Councillor Gerland, did you want to come back?
Yeah. Thank you, Leader. I think as an administration, we've demonstrated that we look at what we've got and how we can improve it. And the big house, I remember when we took over control of the council, the state of the big house was in, which was looking after children with very severe disabilities, and we built them a new purpose-built building for that. So we've got that history really, and I think, you know, what we've got to understand as well, we've done these major projects whilst we've been building schools, whilst we've been extending schools, whilst we're building SEND schools and all the like. And I'd just like to do a bit of praise really for the team, because, you know, these are major projects that the team have been working on and delivering. And that's the main bit. And I know it's your mantra, deliver. Well, we've been doing one of those delivers in terms of the building rationalisation, and I'm very proud of my team for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to echo those praises for the team, you know, all the things they are delivering in whether that's new school buildings going up, SEND schools being built, and all these buildings are making a difference to the lives of our residents, and we should be proud that this administration is doing that. With that said, we'll go to a vote on the recommendations on page 39. All those in favour of those recommendations? Thank you. That's carried. We now move on to item 7, which is a response to the recommendations from the Scrutiny Review on Secondary Pupil Place Planning, which I'm going to pass to the new Cabinet Member for Education, Ben.
Thank you. Yes, so as you have said, response to the consideration of those recommendations from the Scrutiny Review, and fairly straightforwardly, we're accepting all of those recommendations. I think the review was tasked under your leadership, obviously, so far be it from me to explain what you have been up to, but effectively to look at the partnerships, the methodology, the delivery options, etc., around how we deliver new pupil places or plan for pupil places around the county, something which I think actually we have a really good and strong record on. But clearly there are still pressures, particularly around the Rushcliffe area, as we know, we've discussed in great detail. So opportunities, I think, to use scrutiny, as we often talk about in this forum in particular, in a positive way, to do something constructive and help us to fine-tune those policies. And another example to add to the list of where hopefully we've been able to do that. Obviously, these are really complex partnerships. We're not always entirely in control of decisions around who wants to expand, or we're not able to do that unilaterally. So working with academies rather than us often managing schools directly, there are all sorts of challenges around planning and other things where it has, I think, been helpful to get that external eye on those processes and what that looks like. So a useful exercise. Recommendations effectively ask us to continue in a number of ways with the partnership and enhance that approach to collaboration with some of those, with academies, with Department for Education, on place planning, to look at the mechanisms for developer contributions, which will be interesting in the light of obviously planning reforms and other aspects coming forward, as well as to whether there are ways we can do that more effectively. And also to encourage members to take up roles on Academy Trust boards as school governors, which having done that in the past, I know is an interesting and rewarding thing to do. So perhaps a chance to reiterate that today and encourage members across the council to consider that if they've got the time and inclination to do so, which can only help with those relationships. So in short, we are suggesting today to accept all of the recommendations from the committee. The report explains what that means in practice in terms of next steps on accepting all of those. I just really want to thank those members who've taken part in scrutiny. Again, I think a positive exercise, and the staff who contributed to that. And then I'll propose those recommendations on page 44 of the report.
Thank you, Ben, for that. Yeah, ensuring every child has access to a good school place wherever they live in the county is a priority for ours. And difficult with secondary schools, as you say, because most of them, all but one, I think, are an academy, so we have less levers to pull and rely on that partnership working to ensure we can get the places when we need them. And I think the work Scrutiny have done, the 6 recommendations will help us achieve that. We've got a good record of doing it, but we'll accept all those recommendations, as you say, and go further than we have done before, which is helpful. Any further comments on that report? No? Thank you. We will then take a vote on the recommendations on page 44. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you very much. We now move on to item 8, which is the annual budget survey. I'll hand over to Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. The annual budget survey set out how we spend the council's budget, and we asked Nottinghamshire residents for their views about services, priorities and opportunities to reduce spend or to raise additional revenue in the future. Survey launched at the end of September and closed on the 10th of November, resulted in 3,072 respondents. This reflects 1 in every 275 of Nottinghamshire residents. There's been a significant increase in the number of young people, which we're particularly proud of, who've engaged in particular, with 153 under 18s having completed the survey compared to just 1 last year, and there's more work to do to increase that figure in the future. To further engage young communities, new engagement workshop activities were created and run at young people centres to engage young people in local decision-making processes and discuss their satisfaction with the local area, community services and budget priorities. This saw an additional 441 young people participate in these separate activities in total across 29 groups, and it's the first time that this activity has been run during the annual budget survey exercise and provides a strong foundation on which to build with younger communities next year. Main survey results, as you'll see from the report, are comparable with last year's. Very little variation in answers given. A significant number of respondents indicated that they would prefer us to protect frontline services and would rather pay more council tax to do so. I'll formally move the recommendation, which I think are on page 70.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. I think the numbers of people who have filled the survey speak for themselves in the report, but just want to shine a bit of a light on the social media work that the team have done. I think it reached over 37,000 people across the county, and I think the way people engage with surveys, they might not necessarily take time to fill it out, but they'll leave a comment on Facebook, and to them they've contributed to the feedback. So, and our teams are collating that now, and a report will be coming to an informal cabinet meeting with those comments, so that cabinet members can take them away and work on that within their individual departments. But I think this year, particularly more than previous years, we've broken down the social media posts into particular topics that people may engage with, and that's paid off dividends. So we need to keep that work up as well. And the former leader is smiling at me because he's pushed for that, and it's paid off, which is helpful. So thank you for that. Any further comments on the survey? No. Okay, we'll go to the vote on the recommendations on page 7. All those in favour of those? Thank you. That's carried. Next item is item 9 on Step Fusion programme update. Councillor Gurley.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Nottinghamshire County Council is driving forward work to maximise the benefits of the Spherical, Tokamak and I used to call it Tomahawk at first, but it's Tokamak for energy production, known as STEP Fusion Programme. This report updates Cabinet on the significant progress made over the last 12 months on the STEP programme, alongside wider work that the County Council is progressing with partners to maximise the social, economic and environmental benefits. For Nottinghamshire, STEP will bring major opportunities to create high quality jobs and transformational investment and opportunities. Nottinghamshire, as a home to the UK groundbreaking prototype fusion power plant, will pave the way to supply of low carbon, clean energy and help support thousands of new highly skilled jobs. Key developments in the last 12 months include the joint appointment across the County Council and Basildore District Council of a STEP Fusion Programme Manager, an economic impact assessment of the STEP programme which provides robust analysis of the transformative potential of STEP for the region, an emerging draft vision, the Trent Clean Energy Supercluster, for how significant economic growth could be realised from the redevelopment of 3 former power station sites in Basildore, including STEP, and securing its initial funding to progress delivery of the next stage of work. I am pleased to update that since the time of writing, the East Midlands Combined County Authority, EMCA, approved £3 million at their board meeting on Monday this week to move delivery forward for the Trent Clean Energy Supercluster vision. A final decision on the East Midlands Investment Zone sprint bid for further 250,000 is expected imminently. I just thought of this just to highlight on this supercluster. It's a real opportunity that could bring massive opportunities to not just Nottinghamshire, but the EMCA and the East Midlands and surrounding areas. And it's actually we need to make it work, I think, and we need to put everything behind that. This is a world-leading programme which I am proud to be lead cabinet member for, and there are further exciting developments ahead. Now, initial funding has been secured. I formally move the recommendations which are on page 6 of the report.
Thank you, Councillor Gurley. And as you say, this project's massive, isn't it? And it's going to create thousands and thousands of highly skilled, well-paid, environmentally friendly jobs, which is great. And it's good to see the redevelopment of a brownfield site. So thank you for the update. Really helpful. I was at the EMCA board meeting on Monday where the £3 million was secured. So it's great to see partners buying into the project as well. Because like you say, it will benefit the whole of the East Midlands, not just Nottinghamshire. Any comments, Councillor Bradley?
Thank you, Leader. I just wanted to highlight this a little bit further, really. That of all the things in 4 years that we have contributed to or done as administration, this is arguably the thing that I am most proud of, in the sense of the long-term opportunity and the change that this will bring to a huge area. When you talk about not just the STEP Fusion site, but the wider set of power stations in that Trent Valley cluster, the wider job creation opportunity, the inward investment that can attract with STEP as that anchor project, it's absolutely massive and will create thousands and thousands of jobs over decades. But actually what I think is often missed is that it's already started. And we often talk about, the science is a decade away, 15 years away in terms of delivery. Some of the construction hasn't started yet, but actually they're already underway in terms of particularly the education bit, which I think is most exciting. We opened recently a cafe and workshop, which is all about trying to draw the community in to start to learn about and understand fusion technology. The teams there from STEP are in schools across the county, starting to explain a little bit about what this sector looks like and what those opportunities might look like for kids who are in primary school even now. And that's a really exciting thing. I think, having represented somewhere like Mansfield for a long time, where you've seen a lot of industry disappear and a lot of people who relied on that or found a kind of culture and a community around that for a long time that then disappeared. Actually, this is an opportunity to recreate some of that in terms of a sector and a kind of jobs and the kind of employment that brings all of that around it again, brings people together and maintains the kind of opportunities that people in the villages around Retford and Basildore have. Many generations have worked at those power stations and can continue to do so in a clean and green way. So I think this is really exciting. I think the £3 million from EMCA is a huge step forward, because it allows a massive amount of planning to happen over the next couple of years as to what that infrastructure looks like, as to what the skills requirements will look like, and to utilise all the powers of MCA in terms of pulling that package together, which is a really important next step. But really just to re-emphasise how big this is, because I think we often miss that. And actually, as I say, that they are already employing people, there are already local people working on that site, there are already school kids learning about the jobs that they're going to have in 10, 15 years' time on that site, and all that's happening now.
Thank you, Ben, for that. We always speak, don't we, about jobs for the future, but this really is, and it's lovely to hear that they're already in schools bringing it to life for those people who are going to go and get those jobs in the future. So really great to hear that. Councillor Taylor?
Thank you. Well, Ben's obviously already articulated the value of the jobs, the future jobs, the impact it's having on education and opportunities for our young people. So the site is just over the border from my divisional area, but it is the nearest commuting village is in my division. I've got 16 rural villages, 4 hamlets, very few job opportunities. So to have something like this that close that the children can aspire to, can stay closer to home instead of clearing off somewhere else if they go away to university. So to have this is absolutely huge. But I also wanted to comment on the other challenge that we face in my divisional area, which is a lot of farming communities and the challenges we've had lately with solar. And all green and renewable energy is to be welcomed, but we had quite a lively debate at the council meeting before last about our views on protecting our agricultural land. So for my villages, that's hugely important. And I can't say how significant it is that this brownfield site can provide that energy, which should be able to sit comfortably alongside the established agricultural bases in my villages, and that I don't have to forfeit those to 40 years worth of glazing. So this is hugely significant in lots and lots of different ways for my villages, and it's very much welcomed.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Couldn't agree with you more. There's no need to glass over the grasses there when we can create green energy by step, which we're showcasing in this county, which is great. Keith, please.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I just want to come back on the point that Councillor Taylor made. Really, is we've made sure that MCA are fully aware of the fact of trying to protect that area from these solar farms. Because the last thing we need to happen is a solar farm be granted somewhere, which will then stifle the chance of the growth of that cluster. And so, you might be for or against solar farms. It's not really about that, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of my role in this council. It's about protecting that area so that we can maximise the potential there. And it's great to see actually that you followed in from the last leader's way of pinching my sayings. How can turning grass to glass be green? But I remember when we first got told about step fusion coming to West Burton, I made a statement there saying that if all we have is a power station, then we've failed. And clearly we're not failing, because we're already getting more than a power station. We're already getting all those opportunities. And now it's sort of changed. So even if step doesn't work, the opportunities there will still be there because of all the other industries that's coming into that area. So this is absolutely amazing. So you can try and pinch that one as well if you wish.
I'm fairly sure it was me that made that statement, Leader. Just saying.
As long as the whole of Cabinet nick my saying of deliver, we'll be on to a winner, won't we? Councillor Lawton.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is a jewel in our crown. What you've got to remember, this was a bidding process as well, and there were 3 other locations within that bidding process, and we won the bid. And we won the bid because we put forward the best case, and that was done by the previous leader and also our staff, who had a major input into that bid. And we should give ourselves a real pat on the back of achieving this step fusion into Nottinghamshire. So I think there's congratulations both to the officers and also to those politicians that were involved in the bidding process, and well done, and long may that continue.
Thank you, Bruce. Yeah, great to see it moving forward. Look forward to further developments as it goes. So we'll go to the recommendations on page 92. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 10 then, I will hand over to Councillor Taylor on children's personal budget policy, please.
Thank you, Leader. This again is a report you'll already be familiar with from your previous role, because we've worked on this together over several weeks and months. My area of the department is commissioning services, so they have produced this work to support delivery of your previous and Councillor Bradley's current role in terms of delivering education and SEND. As the report says, the budget policy applies to all children and young people in Nottinghamshire who have an identified assessed need for one of the three areas of either education, children's social care or health. It's been quite timely to have done this refresh work. It's been part of our SEND improvement journey, and I would say that a lot of this is about accessibility in plain English, for want of a better expression, to make it easier for parents to access what the policies are in those three discrete strands, to understand what they may be able to access. A personal budget is actually just to empower individuals whose children have an assessed need. It does not create eligibility, it supports eligibility. So I say it's timely, partly on our SEND improvement journey, but also because one of the three strands, the health element, is actually not directly in our control. That is owned by the ICB, and their latest refresh was agreed in March. So for us to have pulled this refreshed approach to accessibility for parents is quite timely, because it incorporates that latest refresh. And of course, we continue to review and refresh our policies over time, and that work, I understand, will continue with co-production with parents and families who access these sort of facilities. So with that, I formally move the recommendations on page 97.
Thanks, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Bradley, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, only briefly, Councillor Taylor's summed it up, the key elements of this, and as she has said, it's not entirely just us in terms of a policy framework, but a partnership, as all of these things are across the SEND world. But important that parents are able to understand that access, what they or know what they can access, and across the board in the children and families world, trying to move to a place where we are improving the services that we offer, where we are supporting that independence, and where we are having a more joined up approach in terms of the delivery across both Tracy and my portfolio. So important piece of work, and just to reiterate, I suppose, that it's there, not even the start of, the middle of the conversation, not the end of, in terms of that engagement with families and how we continue to develop this in the future.
Thank you both for your work on this, and I know the three appendix are quite in depth, aren't they, but give a helpful guide to how families and parents can spend their direct payments, which is helpful. And as you say, Councillor Taylor, it's refreshed all the time in co-production with the families, which is important as well. Any further comments on that? No? Okay, we'll move to the vote then, which the recommendations are on page 97. All those in favour of those recommendations? Thank you. That's carried unanimously. Well, on the end of the agenda, thank you all for your patience and bearing with me in my first meeting. Really appreciate it. Merry Christmas to everybody, and we can end the broadcast. Thank you.